What is data storytelling? You might be hearing that phrase everywhere at the moment. It seems to be all over socials, all over LinkedIn. It's increasing in Google searchability. You're here searching this on YouTube. There are, for me, in my world, there are two types of data storytelling. Sometimes when you kind of search this information and want to know what it is, then I guess the prevailing narrative you're going to get is that it is the ability to tell data to an audience in a compelling story in a way that really motivates them to do something with the information. So it's not just the share of data. We actually follow essentially a story arc up to a main or master message. And the idea is that our audience engages with the content, engages with the data, and through narratives, data, and visuals, we are telling the story, I guess, and explaining and creating a case for whether it's a reason or something to celebrate, whether it's something that needs to change, whether it's something we need to focus our attention on. But if you've sat in data meetings or shares before and it's just been, more slides and more charts after one another, and then the meeting finishes and it ends and it's like, okay, sweet, that's done. Mic drop, it's all over, see you later. And people go, yeah, that was kind of interesting, but they don't do anything with it or they haven't engaged with it. That's not data storytelling. So the main, I guess, narrative that you're going to find online is that that's what data storytelling is. And I completely agree that that's important. And we now know the importance of a narrative arc and creating, I guess, tension and being really selective about the visuals we choose, the narratives and the stories that we share, and the data points that we pull out and talk to. And there is another whole part of data storytelling in my world, which is how do you actually engage with and use the data that you have access to day in, day out, that maybe you speak with colleagues or team members about. You're not actually going and presenting to an audience necessarily, but you're riffing and talking about, well, what does it mean? What can I see? And, the so what of it. So for me, data storytelling in that space answers kind of two key questions. And the first one is the analysis part. So we look at the data and we think, what are the trends and the insights in the information? What is it telling me about my area of inquiry? Now, trends and insights are different. Trends are patterns. They're things that, I guess, confirm what we already knew. They're good. It's good to have trends. It's confirmation. It's things that we expect. And a lot of our data is actually sitting in the trend space because, we ultimately don't want to be surprised by a whole stack of data over and over and over again. We're probably not reading the room if that's the case. So trends are good, but insights are different. And insights are things that actually shift the pattern in our brain, and they I guess, change our understanding. Gary Klein talks about in his book, it's the aha moment that happens in an insight. It's the, I didn't expect that. It's the, that's really interesting. That's really curious. And it's essentially the insights that we want to be, I guess, acting on ideally. We can certainly act on trends, but interestingly, we also know that insights, the aha, the light bulb moments, those are the moments that are actually more likely to make you act or make other people act as well. So in our day-to-day work, it might be with your spreadsheets, with your dashboards, that it's looking at the charts, it's looking at the data, and it's saying, what are the trends and the insights that I'm seeing? Then we've got to actually prioritize them and say, well, of those things that I can see, because you could probably make a really long list of trends and insights from the data, depending on what you're looking at and how many different sets you're looking at or how many dashboards you're looking at. It's prioritizing it. So it's kind of saying, well, what is the most urgent and important thing that I'm seeing in it? But then the next big question that we need to answer is, what do I do with that information? And I guess what I see in my work as a data storyteller is that people often stay in that first question, what are the trends and the insights? And they can get caught up in the analysis paralysis, in creating charts, in, kind of asking for more data, looking for more, trying to collect new information, when sometimes we just need to make decisions with the information we've got, because we've got so much of it. We're not running out of it. So it's the ability to kind of prioritize the most urgent and important things, but then think, well, what's the so what? And in my book, I'm Not a Numbers Person, the so what and the actions I rely on, and it's not my idea, but I rely on the framework of thinking about is how much effort is the action going to take, and ideally, what's the impact that it's going to have. And in a perfect world, we've got a trend or an insight. We go, yep, it's urgent and important, awesome, and here's a thing I can do that's relatively low effort. Not the effort's not too bad, but I reckon it's going to have a massive impact. It's going to give me a great return on investment. And that's the space we then play in, and then we put plans into place to take that action. So the really interesting thing about looking at data and planning out trends and insights is that what you see in the data, what I see in the data, what we prioritize, even though we might be in the same team and looking at the same information, it's not necessarily going to be the same. And that's okay. Like, that's the beauty of our brains and our different backgrounds, experiences, biases. They all play into our analysis and identifying, I guess, what we think is important or not. So it's actually the best to go through that process with somebody else, or to riff with a team member, or even to get an outsider's opinion who's maybe a little bit more objective than you, just to kind of almost check your thinking and go, does this make sense? Are you seeing the same things as me? And do you think that these are the most important trends and insights? And if so, awesome. But if not, spend time considering their perspective, because that's the beautiful thing, right? Our perspective is just our perspective. There's no right or wrong. It just is what it is. The other thing is, other people in our team and colleagues and even objective others can possibly provide suggestions about what actions we could take. So they might be a really good sounding board for you, saying, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing, in that frame of how much effort versus how much impact. This is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? Is there anything I haven't thought of? And I actually love ChatGPT, which I call ChatGPT Chatty. Chatty is awesome at that. Chatty is really good at coming up with possible actions based on like trends or insights that you see. You can literally ask Chatty, I'm seeing this in my data. What are some possible ways that I could respond now that I know that information? And it will come up. I usually ask it for 5 to 10 possible actions. Gold. There'll be certainly things that it will tell you that you will have thought of, but more often than not, what I've found is that it will absolutely give you ideas of things that hadn't emerged for you, it hadn't come up. So lean on AI, whatever kind of platform you use. You can certainly use it for analyzing some of your data too and helping you identify those trends and insights. But the human element, your experience, needs to layer over the top of that and go, well, what are the most important trends and insights for me and my team, knowing my context? So you can ask AI to help you do that, but it's got to be grounded in obviously what you know. It can help you prioritize, which again, that's fine, but you've got to critically consider that recommendation and those ideas and work out if it's actually right for you. And then you ask it, well, what are some of those actions that I could take? And even use the frame of what are some of the things that are maybe not too much effort, or something I could do in the next week or 2 weeks, but potentially going to have a really significant impact on where I'm at. And if you're able to do that every day of the week, you are data storytelling. So don't forget, there's data storytelling to an audience, which has a lot of space online. There's a lot of resources available, and there is data storytelling in your day-to-day work, where we ask those questions, we prioritize the trends and insights, and think about actions that are not going to take too much effort, but are going to give us amazing bang for our buck.